delegations of Chile and Bolivia are already in The Hague and will present their arguments before the judges today over the use of the waters of the Silala River. The process will be extended for 14 days. In Russia, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that the recent Ukrainian helicopter attack on facilities on Russian territory could complicate bilateral negotiations. Chinese top authorities held online high-level meetings with the presidents of the European Council and the European Commission. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. And now we begin. The delegations of Chile and Bolivia are already in The Hague and will present their arguments before the judges today over the use of the waters of the Silala River. The process will be extended for 14 days. Chile will be the first to present the case, while the Bolivian representation will have the opportunity to respond on Monday 4th. Chile filed a lawsuit against Bolivia over the status, course, and use of this natural resource. They consider that the Silala is an international river that should be shared, while Bolivia maintains that the waters originally come from springs born in its territory that were artificially derived towards the border in the first half of the last century. In its pleadings today, Chile will insist on the rights it claims to have over the tributary, according to what Chilean co-agent Carolina Valdivia told Chilean media.
For more than 6 years on this judicial proceeding before the court, and our expectations are that the claims that Chile has made and all the other procedural pleadings will be recognized. Basically, this implies that the Silala is an international river, thus the water course is subject to the applicable rules of international law pertaining to reasonable and equitable exploitation, and that the use that Chile has made of these waters is in accordance with international law.
And in the wake of Bolivia's appearance before the court, responding to Chile's summons in the dispute over the waters of the Silala, the country's Vice Minister of Communication, Gabriela Alarcón, referred to Bolivia's intervention, offering some details.
Tomorrow the case starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon approximately, which means 10 o'clock for Bolivia. Chile is the country to start, and then we will present our arguments the following week, between Monday and Tuesday, for our country. And we are asking them to take into account the fact that those presenting our arguments are international experts, so we are going to present the defense accordingly.
In the midst of the electoral uncertainty, the people of Costa Rica are preparing to elect a new president for the next 4 years in the presidential runoff election this coming Sunday. Costa Rican citizens still have a little over a day to reflect on which candidate will be the best option to vote for next Sunday. They will be choosing between Social Democratic Progress Party candidate Rodrigo Chavez and National Liberation Party candidate Jose Maria Figueres. According to the specialists, neither candidate has a clear majority, with polls predicting a technical tie. They say undecided voters will be the ones typing the scales. The National Assembly of Nicaragua approved a reform to the General Education Law and a reform and an addend to the law of the autonomy of the higher education institutions, which the authorities assure will guarantee a quality public university education. Preceded by a long debate, the approval of this law comes from the need to turn it up to the modern times, taking into account that education is a global public good. The legislators of all political parties discuss aspects related to quality, inclusiveness, and integral processes of university management in training for research and innovation. Lawmaker Walmaro Gutierrez, the member of the Education Commission, said that under the new reform, the National Council of Universities will be only governing body for higher education in Nicaragua.
We are strengthening and giving the leading role to an institution that is part of the same university. That is the National Council of Universities, and we are giving it the nature of a governing body.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back. In Russia, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that the recent Ukrainian helicopter attack on facilities on Russian territory could complicate bilateral negotiations. Russian spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said in a statement that this aggression on the part of Ukraine does not create suitable conditions for a peaceful solution to the conflict in Donbas. This is the first such attack reported by the Kremlin on Russian territory since the beginning of the special military operation in Ukraine. The incident occurred shortly after Moscow agreed to scale down military actions in the direction of Kiev and Chernigov. Ukraine carried out the attack on Russian territory after the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Moscow's army was regrouping to launch an offensive in the southeast of the country. More details on the helicopter attack. Regional Governor Yaroslav Gladkov reported that the aircraft entered Russian airspace at a low altitude and attacked the facility. According to preliminary reports, at least 2 personnel at the facility were injured. The flames affected 8 fuel tanks, each with a volume of 2,000 cubic meters, and there is a risk that the fire could spread to 8 more, as officials said. Firefighters and emergency crews are working at the scene to bring the blaze under control. And the President, Volodymyr Zelensky, reveals that he has loyalty problems among his troops. On Thursday night, he reported that he had dismissed 2 generals, but hinted that they were not the only ones. The fact that the Ukrainian head of state said he did not have time to deal with all the traitors. The president said he had dismissed General Naumkov Andriy Oleshnovich, who served at the head of Ukraine's main internal security department, and General Krikovich Sergei Oleksandrovich, the head of the Ukrainian security service in the Kherson region. The senior officers were removed from their posts for disloyalty. Zelensky said during his message that because he was too busy, he did not have the time to deal with all the traitors, but promised to do so gradually and assured that they will be all punished. At least 8 miners were killed and about 20 were injured on Friday when a shaft collapsed in a state-owned coal mine in southern Serbia. FTS state television reported that rescuers were trying to determine how many miners were trapped in this shaft in the southern town of Aleksnjak, 200 kilometers from Belgrade. The head of the local hospital said all non-essential surgery had been cancelled and some patients had been discharged to make room for casualties. There were 49 miners at the rota at the time of the accident. The Aleksnjak coal mine is prone to methane saturation, and in November 1989, some 90 miners died in an explosion there.
We have 18 injured miners. No one has life-threatening injuries. 3 of the miners have fractures, according to the information we have from the hospital in Aleksnjak. Soko coal mine is a dangerous coal mine, dangerous from the aspect of methane. Security levels are at the highest level in the coal mine, but this time there was a sudden release of methane, and simply the monitoring and the equipment that was in place did not help.
And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Chinese Prime Minister Li Keqiang and China's President Xi Jinping held separate online meetings on Friday with the European Council President Charles Michel and with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The Chinese premier said a stable relationship between China and the European Union is crucial to the world's peace, stability and development. Li also said that China is willing to enhance mutual trust and strengthen communications with the EU. The Chinese premier called on the 2 sides to build on the existing mechanisms to enhance policy coordination on key areas and foster new cooperation highlights. For their part, Michel and von der Leyen said both China and the EU are important members of the multilateral system, and China China is an important stakeholder. The EU side laid out its views and position on the current situation in Ukraine. Li expounded China's principles and position on the issue. He stressed that China always pursues an independent foreign policy of peace, advocates compliance with the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, and upholds international law. The Chinese president called on the European Union to form its own perception of China and to adopt an independent policy.
Since last year, China-EU relations have made new progress despite challenges, and China-EU cooperation has achieved new results in spite of difficulties. It has been proven that China and EU share extensive common interests and a solid foundation for cooperation, and that only through cooperation and coordination can the two sides resolve problems and rise to challenges. China has maintained the consistency and continuity of its EU policy, and we hope that the European Union can form its own perception of China, adopt an independent China policy, and work with China for the steady and sustained development of China-EU relations.
Two South Korean Air Force planes collided in mid-air during training and crashed near their base on Friday, killing 4 people aboard the aircraft. Both planes were KT-1 trainer aircraft that took off from an Air Force base in the southeastern city of Sejong, one after another for flight training. The Air Force said the collision occurred about 5 minutes after the first aircraft took off and about 6 kilometers south of the Sejong base. A trainer pilot and an instructor were aboard each of the 2 aircrafts. The 4 victims were identified as 2 first lieutenants and their instructors, both civilian employees at the Air Force. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees stated that nearly 46,000 people have been displaced after they fled violent clashes in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In the meantime, thousands of children, women and men have arrived from Rutshuru territory, some 8 kilometers from the Bunagana border crossing in Uganda's Kisoro district. In addition, nearly 36,000 people have been displaced within the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Most are being accommodated by host families or in markets and schools. Security conditions are making it difficult to reach those affected, but a task force led jointly by the UN Refugee Agency and the World Food Programme is being established to organize delivery of humanitarian assistance. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.